Okay, thanks, Liz. So good evening and welcome to the first Clifford Park community meeting. My name is Kathy Baker Eclipse, and I'm the director of the capital plan for Boston Parks and Recreation. Lauren Bryant, who's project manager, who is project manager for Clifford Park, had a family emergency this evening and is really heartbroken that she's not able to make it, and sends her sincerest regrets for this, that she's not able to come to this very important project for Boston Parks. Before we jump into our meeting, I'd like to go over a few how-tos and what to expect tonight. We have Spanish interpretation available for this evening's meeting. Our interpreter tonight is Emily Getchell. Thanks, Emily. Because of the translation services and the discussion we have planned, you will need to choose channel, either Spanish or English. This will allow everyone to hear each other equally. Emily, can you please introduce yourself and share how to join the English and Spanish channels? Maybe also let me know if I need to join one.
Definitely. I will give instructions in English as well as in Spanish.
Thank you.
Buenas noches a todo el mundo. Mi nombre es Emily y voy a servir de intérprete. Tenemos interpretación en español para la reunión de hoy. En un momentico vamos a encender la función de interpretación. Verá entonces un icono de un globo en la parte inferior de su ventana de Zoom. Haciendo clic ahí, le da la opción de escoger interpretación en inglés o en español. Es esencial que escoge uno de los dos idiomas. Así que si prefiere escuchar en inglés, todavía tiene que escoger inglés. Si se está conectando con móvil, empuje los tres puntitos. De ahí escoge Interpretation, pues English o Spanish, inglés o español, pues Done o listo. Si tiene cualquier dificultad técnica, por favor, comunícase con nosotros en el chat. In a moment, we're going to turn on the interpretation function, and you will see an icon of a globe on the lower part of your Zoom window. If you click on that icon, it will give you the choice to choose the English or the Spanish interpretation channel. You must choose one of the two. Even if you are an English speaker, it's important to choose the English channel. Otherwise, you will not be able to hear me interpreting what the Spanish speakers are saying into English. If you are joining with a cell phone, push the three dots, and from there, interpretation, then again, Spanish or English, then press done. If you have any kind of difficulty, please send us a message in the chat and we'll keep an eye out. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Emily. We are eager to hear all voices and will continue to provide Spanish interpretation for future Clifford Park meetings. However, please reach out to me or Lauren for any additional language access needs. I'm going to drop both of our emails into the chat now.
Ya se va a poner dos direcciones de correo electrónico en el chat para comunicarse con estas señoras relativo a la función, el servicio de interpretación para las reuniones. So you can turn the channel on now.
Liz, is that something you're able to do?
Should be up and running. Thank you.
Okay. And Emily, do I need to choose a channel?
I think everybody has to choose the channel using the little globe icon at the bottom.
I don't see a globe icon, but it could be because I'm. Oh, interpretation, there it is. Okay. All right. So thank you so much. Okay. All right. So thank you for Domingos for that additional language. I wanted to make sure that you know that tonight's meeting is being recorded and will be available on the project website within a week. This is a good time to let you know we have a project website. We will be updating the website throughout the project, and I will put the link in the chat for everyone now. I want to thank all of you who are able to make this meeting tonight. However, we know that meetings can be hard and not all times and all formats are convenient for park users. That's why we're doing two different kickoff meetings. One tonight on Zoom and one in person on Saturday at 10 a.m. We also started this meeting a little earlier than our standard in order to try to accommodate the park permit holders this evening. We're hopeful that this will allow us to be able to hear from many more people. We also know that there still may be people who can't make either of these times. If you have friends or neighbors who are not able to join us, please share what you learn or direct people to our project website for them to view the recorded meeting when their schedule allows. They can also feel free to reach out to me directly or Lauren to share their thoughts. We want to make sure that this conversation feels accessible to everyone and that each of you feels comfortable sharing your questions and comments. So please keep some of these thoughts in mind. Please be respectful and mindful of each other's time so that everyone has the opportunity to participate. Once you've submitted or asked a question, please wait until others have an opportunity to ask questions before submitting another one. If you would prefer, you can always set up a conversation with Lauren. Please contact her through email, and I will put that in the chat again. I also ask that when you're not speaking, please keep yourself muted in order to make sure that there's some background noise so that everyone is able to be heard. We would like to hear your thoughts. That's why we're here. And so there are several ways you can engage with us tonight. We'll be sharing a very short overview of the project at Clifford and a few updates of things that have happened in the park and in the neighborhood since the last community meetings for the park. But like I said, this will be brief because we really want the main reason. The main reason that we're here tonight is to hear from you. If a question pops into your head during the meeting, feel free to add it to the chat feed so we can make sure we answer it during the discussion time. Please only use the chat for comments or questions related to this project. Also, if you have a question or comment, please feel free to raise your hand as well and we can get everyone in the discussion. For those who may not be familiar with Zoom, at the bottom of your screen, you should see what looks like a text bubble. That is for the chat feature. To raise your hand, you can click on the reactions button and raise the hand action. So let's test that out now to make sure everyone knows where the chat function is. So if you can drop into the chat how often you visit park, whether it's daily, a few times a week, once a month, only for events, or if you don't currently use the park. Okay, there's some things coming in. Daily users, great. Hope those are neighbors, but if not, that's also great. All right, so I'm gonna move on, but that chat is always available to you. All right, so now onto the project. We know it's hard to take the time for community meetings like this, and that everyone is feeling meeting and Zoom fatigue. So we really appreciate you taking the time tonight. It certainly goes to show how much this park means to the community to have such an amazing turnout. First tonight, I will introduce the team, then do a quick project overview, and then we'll have time for, I'll leave the bulk of the time for the discussion at the end of the short presentation. So for anybody who joined late, I am not Lauren Bryant. My name is Kathy Baker Eclipse. I'm the director of the capital plan for Boston Parks. Lauren Bryant, who is the project manager for Boston Parks for this very exciting park renovation, had a family emergency this evening. Also joining us is Liz Sullivan, the Director of External Affairs. She's helping moderate and letting everybody in. So thank you so much for being here, Liz. If there are any elected officials or representatives from elected officials, I think you should be able to unmute yourself. If not, raise your hand and we'll allow you to unmute yourself just to, if there's something you'd like to say.
Hey, just quickly introduce myself. My name is Godfrey Fedra. I'm the Community Relations Director for Councilor Anderson's office for District 7. So I'll throw in my email too, just in case anybody has any external questions, and just here to kind of hear what's going on and be able to kind of give my feedback where needed or kind of relay information back when needed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Shuku, I'm sorry, I'm gonna butcher this, but you should be able to unmute yourself.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. My name is BJ Oswago. Everyone calls me BJ, so that's fine.
Thank you.
Director of Constituent Services for Councilor Lara. Same likewise to the representative from Councilor Fernandez Anderson's office, just here to relay information back to the councilor and looking forward to seeing the community process on this.
Thanks for being here. All right, I want to introduce a few other City of Boston staff that are here tonight and ask them to unmute themselves and take 1 minute to talk about their role, what they're doing around Clifford Park. So I think Tanya, I think you may be first on the list.
Hi,
Before
good
I get to
afternoon.
yeah,
Go ahead.
go ahead, Tanya. Thank you.
I'm Tanya Del Rio. I'm the director of the coordinated response team. So our team focuses on responding to encampments and unsheltered that are pop up citywide for unsheltered people, and we have a big focus on the Mass and Cass area and Clifford Park included.
Thank you. I also want to ask Chief White Hammond, who has joined us tonight, to say a word.
Good evening. I'm just here to listen. I won't be able to stay on the whole time. I have family in from out of town, but wanted to at least be able to catch the beginning of it, and we'll watch the recording afterwards. But I'm the Chief of Environment, Energy, and Open Space, and so I oversee the Parks Department as part of this. So it's good to be here.
Thanks for joining us, Chief. Anshi.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Anshi Moreno Jimenez. I work on the mayor's office policy team. I've been supporting some BPS athletics projects and also thinking through our community engagement processes. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim, I think you're next.
Yep. Hi, I'm Jim Green from the Mayor's Office of Housing. I work with our street homeless initiatives, especially the street to home housing intervention that we crafted during COVID. Good to be here.
Thank you for coming. Avery.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, I guess, or good evening. Avery Asdale, Senior Director of Athletics for Boston Public Schools. Obviously, BPS is a user of the parks for our practices and competitions, but also very interested and supportive of making spaces that work well for the community and everyone else that's looking to be physically active.
Thank you. So I don't see Chief Malore, and I think my computer is dying. So I'm going to turn it over to Keisha, and I'm going to try to fix my my power issue.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. My name is Keisha Santana from the Community Engagement Cabinet as well. I work in the Office of Neighborhood Services, serve as the Roxbury Liaison. Chief Muller is in an overlapping meeting, so she'll be joining on briefly.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jen Tracy, the Office of Recovery Services, working on prevention, harm reduction, treatment, and recovery support services for the Boston Public Health Commission. Glad to be here.
Hey everyone, my name is Mohammed Missouri. I'm the Mayor's Director of Stakeholder Engagement. Just here to listen, and I'm really interested in hearing what the community, would like to see done to the park to make sure that we've got clean and safe parks all over the city, and work with everyone on this call.
Chief Irish, if you'd like to unmute yourself.
Thanks. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dion Irish, Chief of Operations. Here to listen. Most important is to hear from community, and the mayor is certainly committed to renovating this park, but your input is what is critical. So thank you.
Thank you. And I don't know if there are any other city officials, city representatives that would like to introduce themselves. Please feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand, and I can unmute you. Okay. I also want to acknowledge that representatives from BSC Group, the design team who will be working with the community to design the upcoming park renovations, are in this call. and they'll be listening to your comments and thoughts. You'll be seeing a lot more of them in future meetings. Chief Hooley, if you'd like to unmute yourself and give a brief intro.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, Jimmy Hooley, Chief Boston Emergency Medical Service, and listening along with Deputy Superintendent. I'm sorry, Superintendent Chipetowski, who oversees field operations and is very involved in a lot of the outreach programs as well.
Thanks for being here. So tonight we're going to be talking about Clifford Park in Roxbury. This is a diagram of what exists on the site today. There have been many previous conversations about Clifford in past years. The other design conversations, they didn't come to fruition. We're keeping those in mind as we begin this new process. So if you've shared previously, feel free to share again, but also know that the information that has been shared in the past hasn't been lost. Some of those conversations have informed smaller improvement projects that you may have noticed. Several years ago, the concrete bleachers at the baseball field were removed to improve visibility. Boston Parks replaced the wood chips in the Norfolk Street playground with safety surfacing tiles. We also increased the frequency of maintenance to twice a day, once before school and once after school. There's been an increased frequency of needle sweeps. The Newmarket Business District was formed and does numerous sweeps for needles. Sharps containers were added to the Norfolk Street side to supplement the one that's on Proctor Street. This current effort that's going to result in a capital improvement project is a city-led project with city funding. We have also applied for grants and are in the review process for that. And that's a process that we're familiar with, and we're hopeful we'll be successful for this as well. So this project is kicking off tonight with this community meeting. We're here tonight and we'll be in person on Saturday morning so that we can listen to your thoughts on the park in order to better understand the needs and concerns of the community. Like I said, this is our first community meeting, which means we haven't designed anything yet and aren't coming to you with any preconceived notions. At this meeting, we're going to talk about the park and the scope of the project, get a sense of what works, what doesn't, what the community feels is important to save, and what needs to be upgraded or changed. We have a list of discussion topics on this slide just as a way to start the conversation, but please also share any thoughts that may not be on this list as well. So with that, I am going to allow people to raise their hands, and we'll unmute them. So we're here to listen to what success looks like for this project, what works in the park, what doesn't work in the park, what are the safety concerns, and what do you want to see as part of this process. So I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to turn it over to all of you. And somebody's got to be the one to go first.
So I am a resident of Roxbury. My name is Lisette, and I've been here at least 45 years. I'm in a family-owned home. That's why I can stay here and live in Boston. But for me, so I grew up in this neighborhood and I went to the park as a child. I now have a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old. My 13-year-old plays football at the park. My concerns are numerous, but first is the safety of the needles, the environment, the attention that the park can get from the Boston police to ensure the children's safety while they're at the park. You know, I allow him to walk to practice because it's at 5:30 and the sun is still out and bright. At 8 o'clock, I pick him up because I don't feel comfortable with him walking back. But for me, success would look like feeling comfortable with my kids playing at the park and not bumping into any needles, and being able to have, you know, safe fun and not being, I mean, the children that play football there are very well aware of the community and the surroundings. And I think that they're exposed to a lot at a very young age. So for me, safety is the priority, but also I want it to look nice. I want it to look like other parks in other parts of Boston. Like I said, I've been here all of my life, and there's not much change that has happened at that park.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you, Lizette. Marla? I think I'm asking you to unmute yourself.
There we go. I couldn't get the button to work. Sorry. My name is Marla Smith. I live on Shirley Street. I also live in a family home that my family has lived in for over 85 years. And so we've seen the park go through a number of changes over the years, some of them great, some of them not so great. I have a 27-year-old and a 30-year-old, and they grew up playing in the park back when it was primarily cement. And we looked forward to, multiple improvements happening over the years. When my kids were younger, the playground was in fact rehabbed, which brought in the wood chips and more of the more plastic playground equipment, or whatever it's made of. But that's pretty much where it ground to a halt. Domingos de Rosa and Leon Rivera had to work really hard to get the wood chips replaced, which is just ridiculous. And that only happened because the city refused to keep cleaning it up because there was too much needles and too much feces in the wood chips. So they finally agreed and resurfaced the park. And that was 2019. And then COVID happened and nothing else has happened since. So for me, I get to the park probably on a, pretty much a daily basis, or at least, 4 to 5 times a week. And what I want to see is this park looking as good as the Garvey Park looks, and as good as Millennium Park looks, and as good as, say, like Pope John Paul Park, which I realize is DCR, but still it's a park in the city of Boston. And they all look wonderful and they all look welcoming. And this park doesn't look welcoming for multiple reasons. The playground equipment that is in it is old. The tot lot down the Mass Ave end at the corner of Mass Ave and Shirley Street is full of homeless people 24 hours of the day. And that makes it very unwelcoming for children to use. That's a tot lot. That's supposed to be for children under 5. And there's needles in there. There's condoms in there, used and unused. There's used needles in there. I walk the park myself multiple times a week, and I appreciate what the Newmarket bid has done. It's helped significantly. I appreciate what the red shirt folks who pick up needles do. That helps too. But every single time I go to the park, I pick up needles myself. And thankfully there's a sharp spin to put them in. But I'd like to go to the park without Narcan and without a mayonnaise jar. I would like to just go to the park. And I work a lot with Domingos de Rosa and with Jairo Lopez in the Southern Roxbury Community Partnership. And that's what we've been asking for more than 9 years. For a safe park where the kids can play, where nobody really has to worry about being stabbed by a needle. And I don't think that's a ridiculously large ask. And I don't think asking that BPD and the transit police and any other police who happen to be in the area keep people who don't belong in the park from engaging in illicit activity in the park, because it's gotten to the point where them using drugs in the park is one of the less worrisome things when you're finding people literally fornicating in the middle of the football, the grass where the kids are playing football. And they're engaging in all sorts of activities. The kids who are, 4, 5, 6, 17, 18 years old shouldn't be seeing while they're practicing for football. So those are my primary concerns. I'd really like the park to be safer for all. I'd like it to be more welcoming. And I would like the people who have no business being in the park, because they're not just sitting there enjoying the park, they're engaging in illegal activities, removed from the park multiple times a day if necessary, so that the park isn't a place for them to convene and hide and use drugs and leave behind their needles, leave behind their condoms, leave behind their cooking cups, leave behind their drugs, leave behind their knives, leave behind their box cutters, their clothes, their bicycles. These are all things that we have cleaned up ourselves, and that just shouldn't happen. So that's what I would like. Thank you.
Thank you, Marla. Thank you. We are aware of some of that issue, and I think that's why you're seeing more than just Boston Parks representatives here tonight to listen, to try to take a broader look at this. I will also say that some of the parks that you mentioned that you'd like to see replicated here, Lauren was the project manager for those, so I think we're in really good hands here. So I'm hopeful that she'll be able to bring a lot of those lessons learned should this work as well. So thank you for that. Domingos, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hold on, give me a second. Sorry, guys. Let me take my ear. Y'all can hear me a little better. All right, my name is Domingos De Rosa, lifelong resident. I've been playing in Clifford Park all my life, 45 plus years. Family moved here in the early 60s, been here since. I run the Boston Bengal program here in Clifford Park. Program started in '99. I took over about 2009, been president since. When I first became president, I had over 300 plus student athletes competing in football, cheering, and dance. I'm down to maybe 45 kids, all from the ripple effects of mass and cash. So I've taken, as a program, a pretty big hit on what goes on mass and cash, and little to no support when it comes to addressing some of the concerns. So we actually have a few questions. And when I say we, the Bengals, there's a few parents on this call, and we've came up with a few questions, right? Our first question is, what is the budget for the park? Our second question, kind of a comment, is we're looking for an actual concrete security plan. Do you guys have one in place that we can see? Because what we're finding doesn't reflect the scheduling that is being mentioned to us. Again, tons of videos. I'm trying to be as diplomatic as I can be. My frustration is beyond, it's beyond bearable. Because again, you know, I have another season hanging over my head with a group of kids who've been out here trying to get a team together, only to find out that every time a parent shows up, there's things that they notice, and those are not the things they want to see their children see day to day. We're still finding needles. We're still having encampments. We're still having people have sex in the play structures. We still have drug dealing going on. These things are still existing. I've given a schedule of when the Bengals practice several times to different individuals, and it doesn't mirror what the security plan is put out there for us. We want to see, again, a park where it's going to move with the community. It's, as long as I've been alive, we have never had this park renovated. So we're looking for a park that's going to fit the community, move things around. So this is why we're asking, what is the budget? If we don't know what the budget is, it's kind of hard to design a park to the likings of the community. We don't have a street hockey ring here. We don't have skateboarding parks here. There's things that we would like to see this community have so we can bring new activities to the park. So I look forward to the walkthrough on Saturday where we can actually see more of what we're looking to have so folks can have a community that they can enjoy. And as you guys try to deal with mass and cast, we need to see that safety plan in writing so we can actually come to an agreement on how we go about moving forward.
Thank you, Domingos. And I'll answer a couple of those questions. We're budgeting about
right there with the blue.
We're budgeting about $6.5 million for construction. We haven't designed anything yet, so we don't know whether that's going to be enough or not. So I think we're open to that, but that's kind of where we're targeting, and that's where we're basing some of our asks on from the budget office. In terms of the concrete security plan, I think that's going to be a topic of many coordination between ourselves and BPD and EMS. I think we can certainly try to look at how we can improve security, improve visibility. We have done cameras in other parks, so it's something that we have experience with, and I think it's something that's definitely on the table here, and I think we'll be developing that as we go through the design process. So Amber joined late. The walkthrough is we're going to be meeting at 10 a.m. on Saturday. I'll be giving more information about that, and we can talk about our process in a bit more in a minute. So Jonair Johnson mentioned in the chat that safety concerns are also on his mind. His son plays on the football team and has been exposed way more than a child should at this age. The project timeline and the community engagement plan we're going to get into in a minute, because that's a really important part that we would like some input from you all to see what what the timeline that you're comfortable with would be. The school does utilize the playground when it's not, and we do plan on engaging the school community and the BCYF Mason pool as well. Sorry, Donaire, I apologize for misgendering you. So one of the things that before I move on to the process, I want to allow anybody else who would like to talk about some of the general issues that are going on, or what success might look like for this park.
I can try to find something helpful to say. The thing that comes to mind most is the demolition of the stadium seating or stairs, and how there's not really a place to rest really in the field. And I'm definitely not going to lay on the grass. So thinking about infrastructure, I also used the Dudley Street Park, Mary Hannon Park growing up in this neighborhood. I'm 29 years old. I've lived here pretty much my whole life. And I've seen how that park has been improved and how it has the water features and even a place for performances. Maybe there's something that we could do there. I am here as a resident right now, but I'm also a public art project manager for the city. And I'm curious if there's art that could be introduced to the park. I would not be involved in that, obviously. I'd be out of that project, but just knowing what I've learned in my past year in the city and what's possible for the parks is really inspiring. So I think I'll stop there, but infrastructure, art, and engagement are top of mind for me.
That's great. Thank you, Amber. Okay.
And I'll just add, in terms of engagement, knowing how to use and book the space is something that I think a lot of residents could benefit from, and that would be a priority for me, is how do we let immediate residents know how to book the space?
Thank you. That's a great comment. If there's anyone else who'd like to raise their hand or unmute yourself, please feel free. And I can take this down in a minute, and maybe we can have a different conversation if we can all see each other as well. So I'm happy to do that.
I bet you they do. Mingo, wouldn't you think so?
Hello, can anybody hear me?
I can hear you, Juan. Thank you.
Yes, hi, I'm a long resident here at Boston. Here right now in Clifford Park with the rest of the kids playing. I was here the day that the incident happened with a young child got poked with a needle. I'm also a father of three of my kids that play here at the Boston Bengals in the same field that the incident happened. A couple of days later, Mayor Wu came. She was telling us this and this and the third on what can be helpful and what can be a success. But as far as I've seen, and as far as the kids have seen, as far as the coaches here have seen, as far as Mr. DeRosa has seen, there has not been a guaranteed success or any progress made. So my thing is, what are the promises that Mayor Wu has said? And I got video of this where she spoke about this and nothing has been done. Okay, little steps have been done, but it's just baby steps. We need to see a bigger progress than what we have right now. It's been over a year now and it's still the same thing. So what can we do? Not just the community, but the everybody involved, because it's like, if we have to be on the same page, we all have to communicate. And that's one thing that we do not have, is that communication between the government and the public, and that's a safety concern, not just for me as a parent, but it's a safety concern for the kids that play here in this field, and not just, and I'm not gonna speak for everybody, not every parent, and not everybody can agree, but some that I hear in this call and everywhere around, the main concern is the safety in general, of the kids, the well-being of them, that the making sure that they are in a place that they can say that is safe, and I would love to see that, and make sure that they are happy where they are at as far as playing. I would like to hear them saying that they are comfortable coming to this park without the fear of them getting struck with needles or bumping into people that are doing illegal stuff that they know they're not supposed to be doing in this park. Now, if there's one thing that I can say that it might be helpful if there is a budget available, is at least get a park ranger at least here to be able to work these parks, this field, or to work around it, because that's one thing that we need. That's one thing that is lacking. That's one thing that is
I think
lacking
you're breaking up a
here.
little bit, but I think yeah.
I'm sorry, and just
Thank you so
I'm
much.
out here with the rest of the kids, so it's like I'm in and out, so I do apologize. Like I said, the main concern that I would like to see is just the safety of these kids here, and if there's somebody that is willing to come out here, as far as like a park ranger or a public safety that can be coming out here and guard these parks on an everyday basis, because us as parents or us as the community might not have the time to do it like on an everyday need, on an everyday basis. We're gonna need somebody that is willing to come out here and guard this park, on an everyday basis. So basically my main thing is just the safety and making sure that somebody's here to be able to protect the safety and making sure that this park is just as clean as it's supposed to be for anybody that comes plays here. Because not just little kids come here, you got adults that come here. Let me turn it around. As you guys can see, we got baseball fields. We got 3 baseball fields in this park, that adults, junior adults come to play in, and I'm looking for the safety of them as well, not just the safety of our own kids, but just the safety of theirs, because they can be just as easily getting pricked by a needle as easy as these kids, and that's the safety, that is one of the safety concerns that we care about. Just the main thing is safety that we care about.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Those are great comments. And I will say that, I think that the fact that there is a significant amount of money, millions of dollars in the capital budget for this park is part of the mayor's commitment to this park, but it is not the only commitment that the mayor has made. I think that you can see that through the presence of so much city staff on this call, listening to what the community has to say. And I think we're also hoping that this is the beginning of a conversation that we will continue to support across the city about how we can improve Clifford Park, not just in the physical sense, but also in the in the environment of what's going on around it, because that it can't be just an island, and we know that we can't just throw money at the problem from the capital fund and just fix all the problems. So that is part of why we are here tonight. Not talking about specifically about the design, but really to listen to the community. So if there's anybody else who'd like to raise their hand and unmute themselves, please feel free. And Marla mentioned that a water feature or a splash pad would be nice, which is definitely on our wish list for a number of reasons. So that is something that that we are, and the lighting as well. The lighting is old and problematic, and it's something that's definitely on our targeted list. Domingos, did you want to say another word?
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping I could get. Sorry, guys. I hope you can hear me now. I was hoping we could get an answer to the budget question, so we can have a better understanding, because we've been at this for quite some time. As Marla stated and a few others, this is going on, almost a decade of conversations when it comes to community engagement. We've put a lot of suggestions on the table, and we're right back at to the first hearing session. Like, we've been speaking on this for quite some time. The same community members. We've had a few different ones because, again, as Juan said, you know, there's other groups down here who want to use the park and they don't feel safe. So what is the budget? Because we were told.
So Domingos, I had previously answered the question that, and perhaps you didn't hear me, but the capital budget is $6 to $6.5 million is what it is right now, and we will be evaluating that along the way to whether that is sufficient to meet the needs of the park. There are other.
I can, not to cut you off, but I can tell you that's not enough.
We will be evaluating that through our design process, and if
the last proposal that was brought to us, there was items on the lines that we were speaking on, such as the lights. You know, the lights is already $2 million, so you're already knocking down, you know, the design fees and the lights. We're already chipping away close to, you know, $2.8 million out of that six. You know, hold on, give me a second, because I listen to a lot of the things y'all say, but people fail to realize we pay attention to what goes on in and out this city. We live here. We've been here for a very long time. Very long time. I've dealt with a lot of things in this city, and I continue to deal with them because we keep hearing the same thing. We want to hear from the community, and then the community is heard, and then actions are not taken on what the communities are speaking on. This is why the budget is very important. There's already $3 million already being allocated for other things out of that budget. So you're talking about a $3 million budget to put this park up to speed, to bring in whatever new equipment, to move things around. You know, we were talking about excavating and leveling the field. So, you know, $3 million, I don't see it bringing more than we already have, you know? So we need to have more money at this conversation. This community is asking for more money at this conversation. This is the message we're trying to relay back to the city. $7 million is not going to put this park to where it needs to be when it's been neglected for over 50 years. My cousins have been playing in the same park with the same design, and they're 65 years old. And
I would take a little bit of exception to that, but I think your point remains that there has been an underinvestment, and that is fair. And I think it is something we will be continuing to evaluate as we develop. And I don't want the budget to be a limiting factor at this point. So, Chief Hooley, would you like to say a word?
Just real quick, because when I was listening to some of the neighbors speaking about comparisons to other, not comparisons, but references to other parks, and again, what do you think would make it even more successful is also when design is going on to looking at various programming, and I think Mr. DeRosa said it earlier. It's obviously not just football. It's not just little kids or splash pad. When you look at I think of over the years going to a lot of the events at almost any time of year. If you go to Almont Playground, Mattapan, you get cheerleading practices going on some nights. You have basketball, you have tennis, you have football for sure going on up there. And you have football games as well, but you also have areas where little walking trails for seniors, shaded areas. It's rare to not see that space being utilized by a lot of people, and I think that in itself helps to that's a force multiplier as far as people who are keeping an eye on, who are taking ownership on things. I mean, I know the people on this call have certainly taken ownership on Clifford, but that this expands it by bringing I think the more programming that's sort of designed or allowed to be with a thought of that as they're designing it, that can actually really make it a much more full use, much more diverse use, much more sets of eyes, and more people who from the community keeping an eye on it down there. But it's just just from surveying parks over the years here.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think a park that people want to be in is one that people want to program. So they are they do work in tandem. So thanks for that. Damari Roman, if you'd like to unmute yourself.
Sorry, do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Hi. So I just wanted to just chime in. I also grew up in the area. I used the park when I was a young child, and I'm a member of the South End Roxbury Community Partnership as well. And I just wanted to for me, it's more of the fact that we as a group have been advocating for this park for years, right? And Domingos de Rosa has been more advocating for longer than anyone else. And my concern is, we've heard everything under the sun. Yes, it's going to be done. Yes, promises from the politicians. We've met with everyone. We can probably put a list together where they promise, of course, election, right? But nothing has been done. So my main thing is timeline. Where's the timeline? So there's a budget now. There's a plan, hopefully, right? So where's the timeline for this to happen? And that's all I wanted to ask.
Okay, yeah, that's great. I'm going to move on to the next slide for a second. In case anybody was joining us late, I do just want to note that you do have to pick an interpretation channel in order for Spanish speakers to hear you and for us to hear Spanish speakers. So if you can just choose that. My name is Kathy Baker Eclipse. I'm with Boston Parks. So this is a very broad overview, very loose overview of where we are in this process. We are at the beginning of the capital planning process. This is meeting one. We're planning a series of community meetings, but how we are structuring those, we want to hear from you. We want to hear from you whether it's most important that we get the project under construction as soon as possible, or whether we really want to spend more time in the community process and make sure we get it. We have deep conversations and bring in a lot of experts and can talk about some themed meetings by interest area, what the format might be that is preferred, whether it's Zoom or in person, the time of day, evening, weekends, mornings. I mean, we're open to many things. And the preferred method of gathering feedback, whether surveys, strictly through meeting comments, meeting people in the park, comment periods, and what the right frequency of those meetings are. So like I said, we could plan a very accelerated design process where we're trying to get under construction as soon as possible. But I want to be realistic that means that the construction documents would be out to bid next summer for a summer-fall construction start. This would not omit the community's opportunity to weigh in. We would just be doing it on an accelerated timeline, on a faster timeline. You know, next week we would set the whole series of community meetings up so that everybody and advertise that so that everybody can get that on their calendars and plan around that. The design team still does need to have adequate time to develop those technical details and review with their appropriate sub-consultants and the appropriate review agencies. So, that would take 9 to 12 months to get that out to bid and start construction. And then the open-ended style, we could start a series of conversations and see where the process goes with regular check-ins with the design team and with the city team. Broad vision meetings supported by themed meetings by interest area. It could be dogs, it could be the field, diving really into some of the field details, diving into playground details. I think there's a lot to talk about safety and lighting as well. So we're open to hearing from all of you on what the right style and frequency and format is. I do also just want to note that I think Christopher Worrell joined us, so I just want to allow him to say hello and
Hi everyone, Christopher.
Oh, I think you muted yourself.
Hi everyone, Christopher Worrell. Just finished up a neighborhood walk. Sorry that I came in late. Here to listen, here to hear the community's concerns and put some action to it. So I am here to listen to the community's efforts on cleaning Clifford Park, and available. I'll put my information in the chat.
Thank you for that. So Demaria, I'm going to allow you to unmute yourself because I think that was a very broad answer to your question. So so if you'd like to unmute yourself to make a comment about that.
I am sorry. And just one last comment. I just wanted to say, it's been a long time coming, and this parks being built, and there's buildings being built within a year in the area. So why would it have to take so long to figure a park, how to have the children enjoy the park? It has to take so long for that to happen. I don't think that it should take so long for a park to be built for the community, with community in mind. If you want to help the community, right? It shouldn't take so long. That's my only thing that I just wanted to, last thing I wanted to say.
Yeah, thank you. Contrary to what it feels like, some of the park construction is quite complicated. There are drainage considerations that we want to address. There are structural concerns that we want to address with the lighting. There's lots of structural concerns about that. It takes time to do all of those things beyond just the physical layout of where the pieces of the puzzle are fitting, how those details tie together, who, we need to, if we're going to be putting in lights, we need to coordinate with BPD and their cable infrastructure team about how to do that. So there is quite a bit of coordination that we need to do. That all takes time. So that accelerated timeline is about as aggressive as we could possibly be, and that is not a promise. That's just a hope. The contract is signed and we could get started. We could accelerate this. It does take time to develop all those details. So Avery, do you want to unmute yourself and add to anything?
Yeah, I think the feedback on this meeting has been great. And I hear kind of the numerous concerns and the frustrations and the ideas, but I think it's important that everybody just remembers, like, this meeting is around feedback and kind of the development of what you want to see in the park. And so making sure that you kind of take the time to identify the programming and the things that you want to see in the park is a vital part of the process in terms of being able to come back with ideas and give designers and planners the ability to put together something that you want to see. I know there's we want everything done yesterday, but with these things, it's a process, and I think having the opportunity to be involved in the process, having the opportunity to give your feedback, having the opportunity to say what programming you want to see, all feeds into the ability to move along in the process. So I think if people would just kind of continue to give ideas of what specifically it is, the programming that you want to see in the space, that will help in moving this process along as well, and I know it's frustrating. I know it's hard because we want things done. We want them done fast. But I think in projects like this, when you have the opportunity and when you have a chance to kind of make sure that you have everything out on the table that you want to see, that's the best way to go about it, because sometimes you get too far and you think of something and you're not able to kind of go back on that. So I would say just be forward thinking and identify how you want to use the park, and I think that helps immensely in the process that we're trying to embark on.
Thank you, Avery. Yeah, I think those are all really good points. It's much easier to make changes to the park before we've actually made the changes to the park, before the project is fully built. And this is capital money. There's a bond, it's in place, it's not going anywhere. It is specifically for Clifford Park. So so the city is committed to this project in a financial sense, from a financial sense, and also from a staffing perspective as well. So Lizette, would you like to unmute yourself?
I'm glad that you just said about the funding that it is secured, because one of the things for me, I want this project completed yesterday, obviously, but I also don't want this to be rushed. I want it to be very thoughtful, and I want everyone's voices to be heard. I'll be at as many meetings as possible. But what is the outreach that you guys are doing to invite the community to participate in these meetings? Are you collaborating with like the community bodegas, putting flyers up? Where are you guys notifying the community that these meetings are taking place? Is city staff coming out, walking around the park and meeting people in the park? You know, the people that actually utilize the park. For me, I started off the meeting by talking about my 13-year-old who goes to football practice and his safety. But I have to be honest, it's a multi-generational, because my dad, who's 78, walks the park every single day. And there have been some safety concerns for him as well. So not, you know, and, you know, safety, everyone puts it at, you know, the forefront. But again, it's, you know, not just for the kids. Again, I worry for my dad at 78. And there was an incident that took place that he never even shared with me until he had been interviewed by, I think it was Channel 25 last year. I had been interviewed and he was interviewed. And then, you know, out of the conversation, it came out that, you know, the overflow from Mass and Cass, some of those folks had tried to, like, you know, come up on him and do whatever. And I wasn't aware of that. So for me, it's, you know, I'm in the community, I'm not going anywhere, and I want it to be safe. I want it to be beautiful. I want it to be practical. I want it to be warm. I want it to be inviting. I want it to be safe again. So all of that stuff, I'm not a very creative person. So in terms of telling you or assisting with, like, you know, planning and this is what I want here, I can tell you what I want it to feel like. And I want it to be warm and inviting. I want my kids to feel comfortable. I want my kids to feel safe. I want to feel comfortable and safe when I'm watching them there. I want this park to be able to be used, you know, as back to the football, the boys have practice there, but this is not a park that hosts games. It's not on the level to host games. I would love for my son to have a home game at his home practice fields. So that would be nice. So yeah, so safety and, you know, again, just thinking multi-generational, because I guess, you know, it's really easy to focus on the kids and all of that. But, you know, the seniors in the community that walk around, I want them to be able to walk around without the concern that they're going to be accosted by people.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and again, like I said, when would I like this to happen? I want it to happen as soon as possible, but I definitely want the voice of everyone in the community to be heard. I think that the outreach needs to be vamped up and, you know, just thinking outside the box. How are you going to be advertising these meetings? And, you know, just, you know, all of the businesses in the community posting flyers and, you know, Stop and Shop. People go to Stop and Shop. This is where we do our grocery shopping out at South Bay. You know, collaborating with other community agencies, you know, DSNI that's up at the up the street here in Dudley, you know. So what type of collaboration are you guys doing with other entities in the community?
Yeah, those are all great questions. And our typical process for outreach is that we flyer the neighborhood, put flyers at you know, neighbors who are close to the park, because they are clearly the eyes and ears that are in the park, that see the park every day. We have signs up in the park notifying people that there was the event today, and there's also the event on Saturday at 10 a.m. So that is also when we're going to be in the park. I will say that there's a lot of city staff very close to this park, myself included. So I am adjacent every day to the park. I can see it from my window. I'm not always in the park because I have a lot of things. Can't get that far away from my computer, but we're very close to the park. So I think those ideas about the bodegas and the Stop and Shop, those are great ideas. And I think as we continue our process and start really getting into the design process, we're going to be building on the practices that we have done so far. We have community blasts. We shared it with our email lists. I think if you signed in today with your real email address, you will be on the project email list, so you will be notified of all future meetings as well. So we do rely on, if you have other ideas about bodegas and other community, important community spaces that we should be flyering and hitting, please let us know. Please, I'm going to drop Lauren's email in the chat again. She's the project manager. And so she will take that information to her. And I think before I unmute someone else or ask someone else to unmute, Amber did make a suggestion in the chat that that maybe a community advisory group, which is a process that we have gone through, we have used before for some specific issues. If people are comfortable with that, something like that, stepping up to helping us get into some of the more nitty-gritty details about that. That's something that we're also, the process that we're also open to if people are familiar with that. But I do not think that that would supplant the this type of broader community meeting and bringing this out to the whole community. So if we had a small group, it would be helping us build the information that is going to be presented to the broader community, not in place of a broader community outreach. Joseph, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself.
Good evening. Good evening.
Go ahead. We can hear you.
Good evening. My name is Joseph Gomes. I am a lifelong resident of Roxbury, Mass. Currently I live less than 1 mile from the park. This park has sentimental value to me. I grew up in that park. Unorganized sports activities with just other kids from the community. And even though I'm a lifelong resident of Boston, in the 80s, that was the most dangerous time to be in Boston. But the one place that was safe was that park. So I don't see how we have more resources now. We have more eyes, we have more ears, and yet the park is not safe. The football program that is being ran there is by a very close and personal friend of mine, Domingos de Rosa, who grew up with me at that park. His motivation was, let's give the kids something that we didn't have here, which was organization. I've seen him countless times at 5 o'clock in the morning out there on his own time, picking up needles, picking up trash, begging for help. Any committee that pertains to that Clifford Park, I guarantee you, you will not find a person who has more blood, sweat, and tears than Domingos de Rosa. His heart is pure. He does it for the kids. He actually does it for me. He does it for himself, and he does it for his neighbors, and he does it for his community. But the city, I feel, the bigger problem is less than a quarter mile away, and nobody seems to care. The Mason Pool is another sanctuary that we always had. But we don't have that anymore because of suspect individuals always hanging around, and kids can't just walk in and enjoy the pool, go to the park, and come home. My mom would drag me off of that field at 11 o'clock every night in the summer. My mom's, Domingo's moms, countless other friends' mothers would come down, and we would all have to go home. That's how safe that park was for us. So I think the whole community is willing to stand up for that park. But I think it takes the city to lead the effort and show some interest. We have no festivals there no more. We have no multicultural events that could bring people and show off the park in the neighborhoods. We have nothing there other than a football program, which has been turned a blind eye to by everybody around it because of the city's leadership. We could put police there all we want, but if they're just gonna sit in their car and do nothing, it makes no sense. That park used to be lit up until 11 o'clock at night, and people would go and sit on the bleachers and they would have fun and all different types of things, and all of that was taken away. Please, I implore the city, We don't need this done yesterday. We need this done 10 years ago. So anything that I can do for the city, and I am a vendor with the city, I'll actually do it for free to ensure the safety and the vitalization of that park. Thank you. Have a good evening, guys.
Thank you, Joseph. Those are really powerful words. So thank you so much for that. If I'm looking down, I am taking notes, and this meeting is also being recorded. So thank you for all of your comments. Domingos.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. A lot of information put out there by good folks on this call. Captain Hooley, you know, I met him a few years back. He was the first person to come out his city issue vehicle and give me a red can, a Sharps containers to make sure that, you know, there was some safety here. So I'm not gonna say that the city doesn't have great interest in keeping the park safe, but he made a valid point. You know, other parks have the mayor's hour. Come out, have coffee with everybody in the neighborhood. She brings everybody to the park. They also have events at the parks, like Night Out, National Night Out, and other events that the city hosts through the Parks Department, right? So when I hear folks say that the city has, you know, 100% interest in turning this park around, and then we who live here, like Joey just said, the last time we had an event here was the Puerto Rican Festival in the 80s. We had one music concert that no one knew about, but a handful of people, that never happened a second time around because the participation, as I was told, was too low. This is why we're asking, how are you engaging the community? I spoke to some folks on this call, and the only reason why I got a flyer, right, was because it was posted on the Parks Department website on Twitter. That's how I got it. I didn't get it from the last meeting that I was at, that I'm on record. I'm on the minutes, speaking on issues that we're speaking about tonight, not just myself, but other community members, advocating year after year after year after year after year. So for me, when I sit here and I listen to folks, and it tells me how much interest the city really has, because you didn't listen to the minutes, so you can see where we already left off. We've already had a meeting for the next meeting to the next meeting. We've already brought the same suggestions to the table. The city has a whole department that engages the community, but yet Clifford Park has no city events. Go look at your own calendars, and correct me if I'm wrong. So you can't sit here and tell me $7 million is all the city can come up with. We're asking for more. I already been at the table with $7 million. That plan went to the side because everything on that plan had nothing to do with what the community wanted. The community already suggested what they're looking for and why they're looking for it. So please go back and look at these videos between now and Saturday, because it's not going to change. It's going to be the same suggestions by the same individuals who continue to show up to these meetings. I mean, if I go by the show of hands, who works for the city, I'm pretty sure, what we got, 25, 30 people on here? I'm pretty sure the handful of people that are from the community is either with the South End Roxbury Community Partnership or they're a parent from the Boston Bengals program. And this is where we as a city and as people who are trying to be as responsible as we can, like I said to the person, send me the flyer beforehand, and I'll make sure people in the neighborhood will show up. But you can't give me a flyer digitally off of your website and call that engagement. That's not how this is supposed to work. And like Joey said, shed blood and teared on this field, literally. And I continue to, because the kids that live in my neighborhood shouldn't be out here dying at the age of 12 because they got guns in their house. They shouldn't have to find a Pop Warner program 2 doors down from their street because they don't have any programs in BPS. Don't get me started. So I appreciate your attention to the park. But again, go back to the board. Look at those meetings minutes. and come back to the community with a better solution. The safety plan, we asked for it several times. What is the safety plan? How are you going to ensure the peak time of usage to ensure that the community is safe? Because Lisette's my sister. She changed my diapers. She went to school with my older sister. Joey and I have been picking boogie since we was in Catholic school. The people on this call matters to the community. We all hold some kind of stake in here. We own property here. We're not leaving. So you're not going to just keep dismissing us. I'm listening to this. It's a lot of dismissing, a lot of circles. People are texting me, yo, D, nothing but circles. We're not trying to be the hamster on the wheel. This stuff's supposed to have been done. Like every other park that's been touched in the last 10 years by 3 different mayors, 3 different administrations, and we're still talking about what Clifford Park needs. You already have it in black and white. The city, every community, like Marla said, every community wants the same thing, nothing different, from the Garveys to the Cliffords.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And Domingos, we are building on what that is. But we're not replicating that plan. We're designing our own plan, but all of those conversations are informing this. We're bringing that past knowledge to the starting point of where we are, and we're going to be presenting. You may hear some repetition from us, but that means we're just trying to table set for everyone. So thank you for your past advocacy through this park for so many years, and we are listening. We are bringing those conversations to our current thinking, and we are going to implement a plan. And one of the reasons that we did not want to come and talk about the physical improvements is that we knew that the physical improvements weren't the only issues on the table. So we have our marching, we're trying to gather our marching orders, trying to gather our to-do lists, how we can bring other city departments into how do we think about the safety plan for this park? How do we think about improving the park so that we can host events? What's the infrastructure that's required that we can host events, that we can, in 2025, 26, the mayor can have a coffee hour here. We would love to have a coffee hour here. So it's very easy, good commute for us. There are a lot of great comments in the chat. If there's, and we are saving this chat and we'll be reviewing this as well. So I do just wanted to note that there is a lot of great points. I think if we're going to be improving our community outreach throughout our process, so please continue to share with your friends and neighbors that that this process is happening, that this project is real. The city is committed to making capital improvements at the site, and please help us spread the word that good things are coming to Clifford as well, and we really want to hear from the community. So I think there's a lot of information in the chat. So if anybody else wanted to unmute themselves and say anything, please feel free. South End Roxbury. So that's a great, we'll be following up on that. I think we will be talking about what our next steps are. I'm stepping in for Lauren, and I don't want to speak on her behalf, but I think the Community Advisory Board is something that we'll be continuing to talk about when she's back from her emergency. Yahira?
Hi, thank you. So is there room in the budget for a mural? Something that kind of gives, brings some color, right? Because as you can see, there's a lot of energy in the space that's it's negative, right? Because there's a lot of letdown, there's a lot of resentment, right? So I'm thinking, is there room for a mural that doesn't take half of the budget or more of the budget just to bring light? Because if you go to places like JP, it's, super colorful, right? This paint it looks inviting. So I just think a mural would be great to incorporate a little bit of the history of Clifford Park in that area and bringing, you know, just some flavor, just something to uplift community.
Yeah, that's a great comment. And Marla did note that there was a mural on the side of the bleachers. I don't know if it was donated, but that happened before my tenure started at the Parks Department. But there's also the mural on the side of the base building. But we have also had some success with doing horizontal murals with Amber and the Arts Commission as well, trying to do them on like basketball courts and some other things. So that's something that we can certainly look into and develop further. So the school, we are going to be engaging with the school when they are back in session and reaching out to the principal. I think that's going to be an August task while the things are still a little quiet at the school. So the Mason School is going to be engaged, and we have not reached out specifically to Roxbury Prep yet, but that is on the to-do list as well. So they are going to be, clearly that's going to change the use, having another large group of kids in the vicinity during the school year. So Susie, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself.
Hi, I'm Susie McClellan. I'm a resident and I'm a teacher, Boston Public School teacher. And sorry, I'm a little bit late to the meeting. So this might have been gone over already, but I just wanted to emphasize, you know, I've been a teacher at Orchard Gardens, so I'm hoping that, you know, the safety for those students, but I also wanted to emphasize that I'm still a teacher and the young people that Domingos works with at Clifford Park, it is life-changing for them and for my students who he has helped in the football team. So I just really want to emphasize, like, this is immediate when we think of our young people that, you know, the young men, especially I've been sending to Domingos for football, you know, this is right now, like they already were practicing back in the spring. And I really hope there is a lot of immediacy to making sure that we're getting something really solid for my boys. They are rising 7th graders. They started on a team in 6th grade, and this is already making a huge difference in their lives. And I don't want anything to happen that would, you know, put any of that of his team in jeopardy. So I just wanted to mainly speak up on that. And I did teach at Orchard Gardens for, you know, several years, 6 or 7 years, and we had to clean out the needles every day from the playground. And it's just disgusting that, you know, it's still coming to this. So again, I apologize if I'm a little bit late to the meeting, but I just wanted to put that out there for the kids from Mason, Orchard Gardens, and especially the young people on Domingos's team, because it's been such an opportunity. Like, I can't tell you how life-changing for specific people I know, and I don't want that to be jeopardized at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Susie. Yeah, I think programming in the park is really important to the success of the park. So that is definitely something that we want to build on and expand. I just dropped the project website in the chat again for those who are joining late. Susie reminded me that I have not been good about keeping some of the contact information on there. So, but that is the project website where this meeting will be posted, and future notices will be available. Presentations will go up there. So that's the receptacle for all of the places, all of the contact info for reaching out to Lauren Bryant, who is the project manager, is on that project website as well. Domingos.
Hey.
Yep, go ahead.
I have an individual, one of my Coach Leonard would like to speak for his behalf.
Sure.
So a couple of things I want to bring up. I am kind of new here with Coach Domingos, but some things that because I live in Roxbury and I walk by this park at least a couple of times a week before I join the team, and I see vagrants, people shooting up drugs almost every single time I go to South Bay for grocery shopping. And the thing is, there's things that could be done for the park for the safety of the kids. That's why I'm trying to raise my voice and speak up right now in terms of what could be done for the park. I mean, first of all, there could be a larger barrier in terms of fencing, a larger fencing, so you could just close the gate completely, have a curfew for the park. That way no one gets in. Because most of the illegal activity, I mean, happens during the day. But if it, at least, you know, there's cops during the day and you can actually see the activity, call people out. You can see people shooting up during the day, but at night, no one's here in the park. No one could call 311 or report some illegal activity. So the other thing I could suggest, if that's too much even to ask, then I would suggest building an indoor facility here at the park with turf. So that way it's just closed off, you know, from everything. Like a shed, like a large shed. I don't want to say a shed, but like a large indoor facility at the park. That way the kids can practice safely with an artificial turf. At least we'll have a safe space. It's something to consider.
Thank you.
But
Those are both all great comments that we'll be thinking about.
And the other thing I was going to say, because Coach Domingo said there used to be park police services, but I guess investing in the city, they stopped funding it, and then that's why they're just local police from the district just patrolling at times instead of actually having park police, having more presence here in the park, and that would be a great investment just for the city in general. Because the thing is, I walk to practice every single day from Newberry Street along Mass Avenue through BMC up to here, and it's just awful, the situation every single time, especially going through near BMC with needles along Mass Ave, and then going into Mass and Cass into New Market. It's a terrible situation. I mean, city's got to address that immediately. And housing is not the solution. And Long Island can't wait. We need something now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you. I'll be here Saturday too.
Great. I will see you then.
Sounds good.
Great to
I'll give back
lose
to
the digital.
Thank you.
Great. So I think there are, I don't see any more hands up. I do want to allow anybody else a chance to make a comment, say something else. We are capturing all of the information in the chat. I'm not going to be able to keep up with all of it, but so we are going to be meeting again on Walking the Park on Saturday at 10 a.m. if you'd like to come out and join us. And I hope many of my city colleagues will also be there. Marla?
I just wanted to close with, we don't really need to reinvent the wheel here. We want what every parent in the city of Boston wants: a clean, safe place for our kids to play, some clean equipment for them to play on that's maintained regularly. And if Clifford Park needs to be cleaned more often than other parks, well, then it needs to be cleaned more often than other parks, because that's just a straight up fact. I mean, it is what it is. There's a situation up the street, everyone's aware of it. And until that situation gets sorted out, Clifford Park, old or new, is gonna fall victim to it. So if we need to increase the security and increase the cleaning, then that's what we need to do. But the kids in Roxbury, the Black and brown children of Roxbury, deserve a park that's as safe and clean as every other kid in the city of Boston, and they shouldn't be robbed of that any longer than they've already been robbed of it. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak, and I look forward to seeing how this develops. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Marla. So we're going to be continuing this conversation. If there's any additional thoughts, I just want to throw that up there. We are going to be continuing this conversation on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. I hope Lauren's going to be able to join us, but I will be there. If not, I will be there either way. And I think we're going to be meeting at 1010 Mass Ave and then moving over to the park. So I think we'll be meeting in front of 1010 at the main entrance in the middle of the building, outside, and then moving into the park. So so if that works for you, we would love to see you there. If there are friends or neighbors that you know of that were not able to join us today, please share that information with them, that we will be at the park on Saturday at 10 a.m. And I think that is everything that I have on my list. I just want to check if there's any additional, anybody else in the screen share. The one thing I did want to note from something that Coach Leonard said was, please use 311 often for maintenance issues, for things you see, but definitely call 911 for emergencies. If you see a person in distress, if you see something that is illegal activity, please do use 911 for those. Please do not hesitate to use 911 for something. If it's questionable, please use 911. If it's not an emergency, they will pass information on to us through 311. So please use 311 for maintenance things, overflowing trash barrels, for issues across the city and in Clifford Park especially. But please do use 911 for an emergency. So with that, I am going to thank you all so much. Oh, Crystal, I will let you unmute yourself. One last.
Hi, I just had a really
more.
quick question. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you, thank you.
Okay, perfect. So I just wanted to know if the city has gone into other neighborhoods and saw what their blueprint might look like for all of the parks that they have built. Maybe something that we can benefit from that we're not seeing. We're extremely focused on safety. But I also wanted to know if you guys had a plan and what your thought and ideas were, and if you wanted to share that with us.
A plan in terms of what the site could be?
Yes.
So it's a great question. So I'm going to step back a minute and say that we are not coming with any preconceived ideas of what this site could be. We really want to hear from the community what the site could be. But we do know that there are some certain things that are going to remain, right? The recreational programming is an important feature of this site. We want to continue that. We want to make that safe. We want to make that energy efficient. We want to improve the lighting conditions there. We want to provide state-of-the-art lighting with LEDs to properly light the field. But what the field configuration is, I think that's an open conversation that we're open to. We know that the basketball courts and the tennis courts are important recreational features that we want to maintain. And the playgrounds are important recreational features for the school and for the neighborhood as a whole. How those pieces are distributed across the site, there's a lot of different ways that could be approached, and that's part of what we're going to be exploring in the next series of meetings. So typically at the next meeting, the next series of meetings, we come with what we see at the park, right? We see there's this number of fields in this configuration, they're of this condition, and does that work? Does it work? Does it not work? Do we want to reconfigure? Does the solar orientation need to change? Are these two, is it better to have the courts close together, or is it okay to distribute them? Are there other features that we're not thinking of that don't exist on the site that could benefit the community? Splash pad is definitely something that we're trying to provide for communities. As cooling as their summers are getting hotter, having opportunities to get outside and cool off is an important feature that we're trying to provide that doesn't currently exist at Clifford Park. So that's on our targeted list as well. We're thinking about maybe a dog park that could be on the table if the community is supportive of that. So those are some of the program items that we're thinking about, but that's by no means all of them. And I think where they fall on the site is an open question that we're going to be investigating. So the first meeting, we're going to say, but this is what exists here, and then tell us what we need to keep, what we could swap out, and what we need to add in the distribution as we're thinking about that. And then the next series of meetings, we're going to be comparing and contrasting a couple of design options. So, what happens if we, build 5 ball fields, what does that do to the program distribution on site? Or what if we expand the number of basketball courts? Where could they fit? So trying to balance all of those needs that we hear from the community, and then coming together for a final series of meetings to say, okay, this is what we heard from the community, and we think this is what we're going to be developing into the bid documents that are going to be built. And then we take that information back and we design the nitty-gritty details. We design the drainage, we design the electrical infrastructure, we design the concrete paving, the asphalt paving, the soil profile of the surfacing, of the field surfacing, the court system, all of that. So that's why it does take some time to develop all of those details, because we need to coordinate with other professionals, other professionals in the city, other professionals, other design professionals. So all of that helps us create a successful park. So we want to figure out what the infrastructure that we need is first, and then we can design and implement that, and then we put it out to bid, and we start construction. So there's a lot of work to do. We're excited to really dive into this, and I hope people can see that we are committed to this. This money is real money that exists in the city budget, and we will right size it to make sure that the community gets what is needed here. So those are all of the things that we're thinking about.
Okay, great. I appreciate that. So you are going to let the community know when all of these meetings are going to be happening.
Yes.
So that way we can be informed, that way we can participate, we can put in our thoughts and have it considered, right?
Yes. So
Okay.
we're going to be taking all of the email addresses that we gathered through this Zoom. We're going to be collecting more contact information on Saturday. That's going to be the start of our email blast. We're also going to be relying on our city partners in ONS to spread the word through about upcoming meetings on the city website. We're going to be flyering in the park. We're going to be flyering neighbors. We will flyer some of the important businesses in the neighborhood, but we also really do count on our friends and neighbors who have expressed an interest to help us spread the word about what we're doing here. So please share the information. Please let your friends and neighbors know that if they weren't able to make it tonight, we want to hear from them. We want them to participate. They can watch the video online on the city website, which I'm going to have to. I'm going to drop. Oh, that's the project website. So that's always going to be available, and contact info is on the city website as well. Oh,
Okay, and so that
I
also
sent
goes
it
to my
somebody.
first question as well. So have you guys already, or are you planning to look into other communities and see what their development was like and how long it took them, and maybe what we're lacking and not thinking about? You are going to present in the next meetings to see if maybe it's a possibility that we like it, things like that.
Yeah,
Okay,
those are great.
great.
That's a great question. So we do have relationships with other other local municipalities to see what has worked for them, what hasn't worked for them. We're in regular communication with our partners and other city agencies. We have our own. I've been with the department for over 15 years, and I've built many parks myself. So, and Lauren has been with the city nearly as long and has built many parks. So there's a lot of institutional knowledge that we're going to be bringing to this. And our design team is really rich in what's going on in the communities and what's going on across the state and across the nation about conversations and exciting things that we're excited to be able to present to the community. So we're not designing in a silo. We're going to be bringing all of this information to us and hopefully present something to you that is really exciting. So
Great, thank you. I look forward to hearing what those might be. Thank you.
Thank you. So I want to thank everyone for their time tonight. I know that this was a challenging conversation, but it was really good to have, and I hope will set us off on the right foot. We have some work to do before we plan our next series of meetings, and I'm really excited to see where this goes, and we'll be reaching out and making a plan and sharing some information soon. So if you're able to join us on Saturday at 10, please do. I know I'm talking very fast for the Spanish interpreter, and I sincerely apologize to our Spanish interpreter. But thank you all for coming. This is really good. I hope people feel like this was time well spent. I know I learned a tremendous amount. I took many pages of notes, and we're going to be continuing to engage with our city colleagues and the community and our design team as well. So thank you all so much, and thank you for your time. Good night.